Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? So the 26th season of Battlefield is on its way. I went ahead and recorded my first run just to test out how things are. I'm not going to show the entire run because it'll end up being a 30-minute or close to a 30-minute video. So what I wanted to do was just, show toward the end of the battle and just talk about the overall types of enemies and what to expect with the 26th season. So again, this is toward the very end of the run, but I just wanted to highlight some of the tougher battles, I guess, within this new season of Battlefield, and just talk about just the overall flow of all the enemies you face against. So from the very get-go, you do face the Mercenary Tau, which is an extreme physical type. The only condition with that is the boss is immune to stunning. So again, the beginning portions of Battlefield really aren't too difficult. Again, it is an extreme physical type enemy. However, I would recommend, basically the way I play this is every time I split my teams up between super and extreme types. You're going to run into a problem with the very last boss in this case because it's not Jiren this time around, it's actually Golden Frieza. And you do have to be careful about team planning because against Golden Frieza, extreme type allies will deal a lot less damage to the boss than your typical setting. So the reason why I bring this up is because Mercenary Tau is also an extreme physical type. You probably want to bring in a extreme strength type team instead of a super strength. You definitely do want to reserve the super type class for against the Golden Frieza unit. So just be aware of that. Now, in terms of the boss battle from level 1, it is the Botamageta unit. It's a super strength type, so of course you can go with either an extreme agility or super agility team. In terms of the criteria or restrictions, you're looking at immunity to stunning, you can't steal the SA, can't reduce attack or defense. So those are pretty much the conditions. Outside of that, it's not overly difficult whatsoever. When you get to level 2, you are looking at 3 different battles, 2 regular modes, and then a boss battle. So the first battle will be the Super Tech Kid Trunks. Again, the restrictions will be immune to stunning, and then you can't lower attack. So outside of that, you're pretty much open game to bring in whatever. So it's not too bad again. And then the second battle will be the Super Intelligence Ubi unit, or Majub, I guess. It always gets weird between the Japanese and English names, but Majub is a super intelligence type, also immune to stunning. You can't steal the SA, and you also can't lower attack. But outside of that, again, it's not too difficult. So the way I play it, typically I run all my extreme type teams first, and then reserve my super type teams for the second half of the battle, essentially. Now, for the boss battle in level 2, you do have the Lord Slug unit. It's an extreme agility type, so again, bring in a tech type team setting. Immune to stunning, can't steal SA, can't reduce attack or defense, and also does recover HP, and that is 1.5 million HP recovery whenever that skill set activates. Now, level 3, things get a little bit interesting too. The one I would be cautious about is the Super Intelligence Super Saiyan Vegeta unit. The thing about this guy is this guy will launch up to 2 super attacks in one turn. From what I noticed, it seems like he supered every time his attack was up. So even though Dokkan Wiki is saying launches 2 super attacks in one turn, it almost feels like he supered every single time his attack was up. So be very wary of that. Obviously you want to bring in some defensive units, but the problem you have to mitigate with this is this guy, you can't stun him or seal his SA. So the only thing you can do to curb damage is probably bring some maybe attack reducing enemies, or units that have a high chance to evade attacks, that kind of thing. The Super Agility Super Saiyan 3 Goku is another one you do have to be a little bit cautious on because this guy will count down with the countdown from 3, and then he'll end up launching a very powerful attack You know, I was able to survive that, but you do have to be a little bit cautious and keep in mind of your HP levels. The thing about this guy is you can seal his SA, so you might want to bring in a SA sealer for this team setup. Outside of that, you can't stun him, you can't reduce his attack or defense, but outside of that, he should be okay. The third one will be the Extreme Strength Metal Cooler unit. This guy does also recover HP, 1.3 million when that passive activates for him. Outside of that, you can't still SA or stun the unit, so it's really not too much of an issue with this guy. And then the fourth battle will be the Hiradegarn enemy. It's an extreme tech type. You can't stun or seal SA. The other thing to note is this guy obviously will evade attacks, or has a chance to evade attacks. And finally, right in time with the actual footage, this boss enemy, you do have to again be very mindful about team building, because again, the extreme type allies will deal a lot less in damage than the super type counterparts. So it is highly recommended that you do bring in a super strength team for this setup. So go ahead and reserve your best super strength setups for this battle, and just go ahead and run through the extreme strength at the very beginning, since mercenary Tao is the very first battle, so it gives you a lot more leeway to bring in weaker teams for that. Outside of this, Golden Frieza, you can't stun him, you can't steal his SA, you also can't reduce the attack or defense. So also, the one thing too is this guy will seal one of your unit's super attacks. So a combination of all these, but from what I've noticed, definitely easier than the Jiren boss battles that you typically face in the battlefield settings. So with all that being said, it's not too bad overall. I think it's always worthwhile, to run through the battlefield, at least get the rewards out of it, because you do get a fair amount of stuff, including Dragonstones. And on top of that, we do have a new battlefield metal exchangeable LR, which is the LR Babidi and Dabra. So, it's certainly worthwhile to get as many points as you can, or medals as you can. Again, based on the rewards, you do get a pretty decent amount of Dragonstones. I'm looking through it right now. You've got 1, 3, 5, what is that, total of 9 plus another 12. So yeah, I mean, you get 21 Dragonstones out of the total amount of runs for clearing the missions. On top of that, you do get a fair amount of potential orbs, Elder Kais, Sleeping Kais, and of course the battlefield medals itself. So if you can clear it, it's certainly worthwhile to do that. And it's not too bad this time around. Again, you do have to be careful of a couple of enemies here and there. Again, the highlights I think would be the Super Saiyan Vegeta in level 3, as well as the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then the Golden Frieza. Outside of that, I wasn't too concerned for the most part. So those 3 enemies are probably the ones you want to keep tabs on. And then again, in terms of team building, the level 3 stage boss is Golden Frieza, and bringing in an extreme type team is going to end up dealing a lot less in damage. So again, reserve your super strength team for that battle. I made the mistake of bringing in the Super Paikuhan here, because I was expecting Jiren to show up again, and of course in that boss battle, reducing the guy's attack is very beneficial to have. So again, I went into this pretty much blindly. I didn't know what the enemies were going to be, so that's why you see Paikuhan on here. If I were to go through it, if I were to go through another run, I would definitely go through it. I would essentially bring in a different team build with this super strength. So not that this one's necessarily bad. I would definitely make some minor tweaks here and there. Again, like, this was the very first run I went through, so a lot of the team builds are based on just kind of random guesses as to what I would expect in terms of enemy skill sets and restrictions, but overall it wasn't too bad. Again, I went into this without knowing much and was able to clear it, so as long as you bring in the right units and builds, I think it should be fine. And I guess bringing or reserving the super type setup for Golden Frieza actually paid off without actually knowing that I needed to do that, basically. So again, those are pretty much the highlights I would recommend in terms of being able to make sure you can clear all levels with the new season of Battlefield, and get all the rewards you can get out of it. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully this was somewhat helpful in terms of an indicator of what to expect. But as always, I do appreciate you watching, and definitely stay tuned for more. All right, I'll catch you guys later.